Hey everyone, it's Russ. I just wanted to bring a quick devotional to you after two and a half weeks of procrastinating and not filming my own. That may or may not have been so I could just post everyone else's and maybe, not have to do one. But here I am. So I kind of want to just present this concept to you based on Hebrews 12:2, where it says, looking into Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. And so I would pose this question to you. Whose handwriting do you think is better? Your handwriting or God's handwriting? And, when I think about being an author, someone being an author, is someone that's writing a book, someone that's writing a story. And, if I were to author a book, I wouldn't have to worry about the book I'm writing, growing a hand and taking the pen out of my hands and starting to write its own story, right? But the interesting thing with the stories that God is writing is that he actually has to deal with that a whole lot. He's had to deal with that when writing my story. He's probably had to deal with that in writing your story. And many times we get a lot more involved in the process of writing the story instead of submitting to the author of our story. And so I know we've heard a lot this year about being intentional. Nas has talked about it. A few other people have mentioned it. And something that I came into 2026 with is wanting to be more intentional about allowing God to be the author of my story. Because when God authors my story, that's when I walk in the Spirit. That's when I walk in the will of God. That's when I walk producing the fruit of the Spirit, is when God is the one that's writing my story. And so I want God to write the story of what comes out of my mouth, what I allow myself to speak. I want God to write the story of the thoughts I allow myself to think upon. I want God to write the story of the direction my family is going. And when I take the pen in my own hands and I start writing my own story, I'll tell you this, and I think we all know this, but God is a way better storyteller than me. God has plans in store for my life, for your life, that we couldn't ever imagine. And I know I've said this before, but walking with God is truly, truly the greatest adventure that you could ever go on in your entire life. Allowing God to be the author of your story is the greatest thing you could ever do for yourself, for your family, for your wife, your husband, your kids. Because when you let God write your story, through your story, God will impact other people's lives. Because that's how God works. He's not, we don't live this life as Christians to be self-serving or to be selfish. But when God gets involved in our stories, He always interconnects people's stories, and you'll have an impact on someone's life that I couldn't have an impact on, and maybe I'll have an impact on someone's life that maybe you wouldn't have been able to have an impact on, because God is the master storyteller. And so I would encourage you today to let God write your story. And that's all I have. So I hope everyone has a wonderful Wednesday. We'll see you all tonight at church. God bless you. Love you. Peace.